NADA is going to have a conversation with NAMAD Chairman Damon Lester. To help us lead that conversation, I'd like to welcome up Myra Dandridge, who is our Executive Director of External Relations. Myra, where are you at? I know she's back there hiding. I was told, there she is. Let's give her a round of applause. Hello, welcome. Good to see you.
Good seeing you.
Absolutely.
You.
Do you need the clicker at all?
I don't know.
All right, perfect. Enjoy.
Good morning. Good morning. I am Myra Dandridge, and I am the Executive Director of External Affairs and Public Policy at NADA. I'd like to welcome Damon Lester to the stage, and Damon is the chairman of the National Association of Minority Automobile Dealers. Thank you, Damon, for joining me this morning at Live Stage. So I heard from a little birdie that you actually give new meaning, your story behind how you got here to New Orleans, new meaning to the phrase planes, trains, and automobiles.
Yeah, that's
Is that
exactly
right?
what I did too. I don't know if you can hear me, but yeah.
I don't think Damon's mic is on.
Can you hear me now? How about now?
I think it's on.
It's on? All right. Yeah, so I had to take, from Maryland, I took the train to Philly, and the 4 flights canceled from that, and wound up catching a late flight out of Philly Thursday night, and I got here around midnight.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing, but I want to thank you for your tenacity and for actually being here.
Oh, thank you.
So let's get into this. Let's start with you telling us just a bit about NAMAD, especially for those who don't know what NAMAD is or who you are. And then tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the automotive industry, because you're not legacy, nor have you worked on the retail side. So.
No. Yeah, NAMAD is a National Association of Minority Automobile Dealers. We were founded back in 1980. We're a nonprofit 501c3, and we represent and advocate for ethnic minority new car dealers in the U.S. The goal of the association is to increase the number of minority-owned dealerships in the U.S. Out of the 19,000 new car dealers, there's about 7% or 1,300 are ethnic minority-owned, and that's African American, Asian, Native American, and Hispanic.
And Damon owns a very successful Nissan dealership.
Yeah, I own Nissan of Bowie. We're located in Bowie, Maryland. That's an unplug for the store. Anybody want to look for a Nissan, please come see me. But yeah, I've been a Nissan dealer for the past 4 years, and it's been going well.
Great. Just thinking prospectively here, Damon, with the change in leadership at the White House, within the regulatory agencies that oversee the automobile industry, and on Capitol Hill, how do you see NAMAD navigating issues like consolidation and mergers, as well as DEI and the push to roll back a lot of DEI efforts, not only by the federal government, but also in the public sector?
So I'll start with, we've historically have worked with all administrations. Any new administration that brings change, no matter what political affiliation you're with. And so we adapt and have those relationships that we continue to build with any new administration. With this administration here, you're seeing a lot of change that's affected as it relates to our industry. We have tariffs, which is a very scary situation for our industry and every manufacturer out there, as well as it's going to affect the consumers. So we're looking at how does that affect Mr. and Mrs. Customer and their bottom line and being able to afford a vehicle, to purchase a new vehicle. We're looking at the rollback on, you talked about the FTC and all the other regulatory things that we were dealing with the previous administration. That will have an effect. We don't know how all of that's going to change yet, but the DEI piece, or diversity, equity, and inclusion, has been over the past, 6 months or so. You're seeing companies roll back their DEI efforts. Although it's disappointing to see it, I think we have to go back to the root of the why. right? And if those companies originally felt that that was important as part of their business imperative, why change it now, right? And so ultimately, as you see the changes of companies, we want to see that, how does the consumer feel about that, right? So within the auto industry, 41% of all new cars and trucks are purchased by an ethnic minority. 41%. That's a significant amount of market share for any brand, any manufacturer out there. And so when you have that significant amount of market share, which equals dollars, which equal capital, which how it all flows around the economic incubators of auto, our dollars have to make a lot of sense. And we need to look at how our dollars are representative in those respective industries who decided to make those decisions. And kudos to those organizations and companies who have stayed steadfast as it relates to their diversity efforts. It's key. And what we're looking at with NAMAD, right? You're looking at it as we want things to be unbiased. We want to have access with fair opportunity. That's really what this is, right? But historically, historically for minorities, we weren't allowed to become dealers. We didn't have that access because we weren't allowed to. We didn't have the opportunity to have opportunities because we weren't allowed to. But once we were able to get in and have those opportunities afforded to us, more so because of the law, right? We weren't allowed to until the post-civil rights movement. And you are seeing that the diverse dealer body, we typically outperform and outpace the majority dealer body based on sales. And a lot of it has to do, 95% of us are first-generation dealers, and we are the ones that are opening and closing our doors and opening and closing their stores. And so, that's a key component to our success. And it's a viability issue that shows why that 41% representation of consumer buying power is important.
So we talk about DEI and the rollback. How exactly will your members be impacted by this in terms perhaps with the banks and the captives?
I don't think we've seen any effect of it yet, or if there will be an effect on it. Look, if you look at data, and that's what we base all of our information on is data, the data shows that if you don't have an intent or an initiative in place, and that there's a lack of opportunities that are afforded. And when you have the intent and you have the business imperative and you have the want to versus got to or have to, that means that those companies have taken on this initiative because they feel as though within a diverse body comes growth, right? So diversity is not something that we take for granted just because, or you're taking away from someone. Diversity in of itself is growth. And so you're growing your diverse mindset, you're growing your diverse dealer body, you're growing your diverse consumer base, and diverse mind. And so that's, we haven't seen any effects of it yet.
Right.
But you're seeing folks roll back or not wanting to do surveys, but surveys equal data. NADA has a big survey that all dealers we all have to do, right? And that data matters, and that data does show what the feedback and what the mindset of the respective person that's doing the survey is. And so, those type of data points are crucial for us. It's crucial for the industry, and it's crucial for every company that does surveys.
And I really do think that you have to look at intentionality. Also, why is this important to roll back something that helps not just one sector, but the general public and the general community? So you really do have to wonder, what is the intent behind certain things?
Well, from some of the news articles that I've read and some of the interviews that I've seen, they're looking at it that each company needs to focus on its initiative of selling a good, a widget, or a product, right? Where does the diversity piece come in? It should automatically come in anyways, right? But that may be true, However, if you look at history, history has shown that if you didn't have an intent or a goal or initiative or a want to, things typically don't happen unless there's a want to. And so, you know, you're seeing the post-George Floyd incident a couple years back, I guess 5 or 6 years ago.
5 years ago.
Right, and you've seen corporate America really dive into the importance of civil injustice. And whatever the reasons were, whether it was just because they saw their competitor put their logo up, right, it was this big rush and to it, didn't mean that they had the intent or really want to have that infrastructure. And so, you know, we're hoping that everyone who still is staying steadfast, and those who aren't, that they do use diversity as a business imperative. If they not want to use diversity, you know, we just want to say it's an unbiased selection, right? And,
Exactly.
And that's what we want to have access to.
Because it really is good business. So let me ask you, what are some of the issues that keep you up at night?
Oh, man. Let's see. You know, for dealers, and I can speak for me personally, you know, the interest rates have definitely been a challenge on my business. The increase of interest rates has definitely been hurting, particularly small dealers, and I'm one of those. The consolidation, and you're seeing larger companies taking over, you know, that puts a lot of strain on the smaller folks trying to have to make sure we compete, right? You're not just competing in market share, you're also competing with trying to find good qualified people, right? And so you're having that tug of war as well. But ultimately, look, we provide, every small business, we provide, in the history of dealerships, we provide that access and opportunity for people of color, people who are not of color, to provide a decent living for their family. That's what we do. That's exactly what, no matter what your color is, or race, ethnicity, dealers are the incubators of every community out here. And so we are here to be the funders of all of those Lions clubs and Boys and Girls clubs, and everything that we do, we kind of feed that community, from the eateries to the banks and so on and so forth. And so the effort of the dealership and the importance of the dealership is very key to any city, any local rural area, because of the amount of tax dollars that we provide to those areas.
That's exactly right. I agree with that wholeheartedly. The follow-up question to that, conversely, what new developments in the industry have you optimistic?
I think AI is going to be real cool. I think that if we can all figure out a way how it really works, and those of us who have ChatGPT, we play around with it a lot, right? I think AI is probably the most efficient thing that has ever been launched, that we've never really, or at least I have not figured it out in its entirety, because it's so efficient. And how that algorithm picks up your language on how you write or what you think is very cool on how to see that work. I think the AI piece for this industry really is going to be the next gen of next gen, futuristic thing for how our industry will operate, and being able to think on behalf of not just the dealer and the dealer's employees, but also think on behalf of the customer and what their trends are. And so that's going to be the key, and that's going to be the future and the future.
So with AI, if you had a crystal ball, how would you project, how would the industry look in the next 15 to 20 years?
15 to 20 years, we're going to have autonomous vehicles. Those autonomous vehicles will be AI-based. So if you picture it, I think that the goal was, you know, you have a daughter and it's time to go to school, you would call your Uber up, and the vehicle would come pick you up with no one in that vehicle. It would already know exactly where to take your kid, either to school, to play, or whatever. It'll know what kind of music you like to see. By that time, they probably have video screens you can watch or play games or whatever during that time. And I think that's where we are going ultimately, where it won't be a complete driverless society, but it will be a driverless society based on convenience for the customer, right? And I think that will be the coolest thing to see.
So when I was a little girl, there was a show called The Jetsons that I absolutely loved. So it seems like what you're saying is that we're moving towards the Jetsons. The Jetsons.
Knight Rider.
Okay. Knight Rider.
Under a Knight Rider, right? And you got
The Jetsons.
you got the Jetsons, you got Knight Rider, you got all of those shows that went back in the late
Right.
70s, early 80s, right?
Right.
And they're coming back to the future, so to speak. The only thing we haven't seen yet is Buck Rogers. So, but those things are going to happen. So you're already going to having vehicles being programmed that you can push a button and it'll park itself, right? And so those things that technology is here and it's still being tested and it's not as popular now, but yeah, it's coming.
Great, thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to?
Yeah,
Add to the
I would say that
conversation?
first, thank you for having me and thank you for just having this discussion. It is they're very important, and I want to just re-emphasize that, you know, being a person of diverse background, the way that I look, or if you're Hispanic or Asian or Native American, we're not taking away anything. We're just trying to add. We're adding to. We're adding to increase opportunities and access for your families, and we're here to provide and live all of the fruits that America can provide, right? And that's what we want, right? No matter what color you are, no matter what race or ethnicity, we're here to provide that for our families, and that's what this is.
Thank you. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Again, Damon Lester, who's the chairman of NAMAD, and also a dealer principal at Nissan of Bowie in Bowie, Maryland. Thank you so much for joining us.